Halloween is here, and for me, that means dressing up and consuming as much horror content as possible. This includes games, and I have a tradition where, generally every single year, during October, I will try and earn a platinum trophy in the spirit of Halloween. So whether you like survival horror, psychological horror, or atmospheric, or just a good old fashioned jump scare, this list will have something for everyone. Leave a comment down below with your favourite horror game. So to start off the list at number 5 we have Little Nightmares 3. This game is brand new, having only just released earlier this month, and once again the game is fantastic. Not a franchise filled with cheap jump scares, but a deep atmospheric horror that uses the environment to slowly unnerve you while playing. Obviously if you haven't played the previous 2 games, definitely do that first. And as for the difficulty of Platinum, the game is still too fresh to have an official guide, but if it's anything like the first 2, I would guess it will be about a 3 out of 10 in difficulty. In at number 4 now, we have Alien Isolation. Truly one of the most iconic horror franchises in all of fiction, and this is a game based on it that is genuinely very good. Not only is it based on the Alien movies, it's actually now considered canon to the overall story. This game, set after the original Alien, has you explore an abandoned space station. Unlike the previous games in the Alien franchise, like Aliens Colonial Marines, where you kill hundreds of aliens, this game only has one alien, and there is no way to kill it. This adds so much to the tension of the game. If the alien spots you, it will run full speed at you, and once it gets close enough, it's an instant game over. You will be crawling around utterly terrified every time you turn a corner or every time you climb into a vent. On a regular day, this sounds horrible, but at Halloween, perfect. This Platinum also won't cause you too much trouble, only being a 4 out of 10 and 25 hours long. However, there is a trophy for completing the game without dying. But you can just use a reload feature, so when you're about to die, just reload into the game and you can avoid the death from counting. Moving on to number 3 now, and we have Dead Space Remake. This is obviously a remake of a much older game, but the horror is still there in all its glory. Whilst later games in the franchise became more action orientated, this original game was far more focused on the horror aspect of the game. There is still action for sure, but the claustrophobic corridors and the truly disturbing looking necromorphs will definitely be enough to keep you awake at night. This game's a 4 out of 10 and takes about 40 hours, and if you're a big fan of being able to fight back, then this is definitely the game for you so far. Number 2 now, and we have Resident Evil 7. Whilst the previous games, especially from Resident Evil 4 to Resident Evil 6, focused heavily on the action side of things, where you get into gunfights with zombies or fight entire armies of zombies at once, this game, it took the series back to its horror roots. You are now fighting a small family who each taunt you in their own way. So whether you fear a giant man with an axe, a woman with spider-like features, thousands of bugs crawling around you, a jigsaw-inspired killer, creepy little girls, or a family of cannibals, it's all here for you to enjoy. And it's playable in VR, if you really want to torture yourself. This is probably the scariest game on this list, and it's definitely something you should consider playing. If you haven't played Resident Evil before, don't worry too much about it being the 7th game in the series. There is not much of a link to previous games, and you will understand everything perfectly fine. For the Platinum though, it requires a 5 out of 10 and 25 hours. And whilst the first playthrough is scary, it is a lot of fun on the second playthrough when you can speed run through the game and you can just see the game in a completely different way and experience it in a completely different way. And it's required for the Platinum anyway, so you will have to speed run it at some point. And finally, in at number 1 is Alan Wake 2. This is actually PlayStation's number 1 choice as well for October's Halloween activities, as it has now been added to the PS Plus monthly games collection. And that is partly why it has its place at number 1 on my list, but another reason is just simply how good it is. It is not just a good survival horror game, it is just a good game flat out, and one that anyone can enjoy. But I will admit the big bonus is definitely that it is now free on PS Plus, and actually has a very easy platinum, at just a 3 out of 10 and 20 hours. If you haven't played the first one, I would definitely go and recommend playing that one first. I believe it was also part of the PS Plus collection at some point, so I really don't know what you're waiting for. That is 2 fantastic horror games waiting for you to play for free. Now, to end this list, I just want to give you a few quick alternative options, just in case you're either not interested in my 5 or you've already played them. So, instead of Little Nightmares 3, I believe you could play Limbo or Inside. They both keep that eerie puzzle platformer feel with the same haunting side-scrolling atmosphere. If you've already survived Alien Isolation, try Alien Rogue Incursion. It stays within the Alien universe, but brings a more modern take, and if you didn't know, it recently re-released on PS5 with an option to play without the VR headset. For a Dead Space style experience, the Castillo Protocol is a great modern alternative. It's made by some of the original Dead Space developers and delivers that same claustrophobic sci-fi horror vibe. If you enjoyed Resident Evil 7, you'll definitely want to move on to the sequel, Resident Evil Village. It is a direct sequel, keeping the same gameplay style and continuing the same story of the previous game. It has a bit more action, slightly fewer scares, but definitely enough to keep you interested, and a brilliant horror platinum to add to your collection. Finally, instead of Alan Wake 2, I would actually recommend Silent Hill 2. Both games feature an eerie, fog-filled small town and a focus on psychological horror themes. Alan Wake leans slightly more towards the action side, whereas Silent Hill 2 leans more into the dread and atmospheric horror. But there's enough similarities here for me to recommend it. And that's it for my top 5 picks for horror games for you to platinum this year, with a few extra bonus games on top for good measure. Please comment down below which horror game you'll be platinuming this Halloween. For me personally, I think it will be Alan Wake 2. I really enjoyed the first one. I've never played the second, and as it is free on PlayStation Plus this month, I think it'd be rude to pick any other option. So please leave a comment down below with your Halloween game for this year. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more trophy related content, and good luck to all of you chasing that spooky platinum this year.